Hello everybody, welcome to part 2 of our Noah's Ark series. In this series we're examining the spiritual transformation and the alchemical journey of the soul as told through the parable of Noah. If you missed the first video you can watch it here. And today we'll focus on Genesis chapter 7, which is the point in the story where the flood begins. So in Genesis 7:1 it says, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." Once again, Noah symbolizes the inner spark or seed within the soul, the seed of life, the cell of life. This is the pure essence within us, untouched by corruption. And I cover this in more detail in the first video. And the ark, just as a recap, represents the alchemical container or our physical and subtle bodies where purification and transformation happen. It is our sacred inner space in which the lower nature undergoes cleansing. The phrase righteous before me in this generation highlights the idea that only purified, balanced souls are capable of withstanding spiritual transmutation. We may desire change, but unless we're really ready and primed for it, we won't be able to access that change that we desire. And the generation symbolizes our current state of consciousness or our current alchemical state. Moving on to Genesis 7:2, we read, "Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female." The 7 clean animals represent the 7 stages of spiritual purification. This aligns perfectly with the 7 classical planets, which are associated with the 7 prominent chakras or energy centers, and even the 7 metals of alchemy. And there are many more poignant groups of 7 throughout biblical text, as we've seen in Elevation and the God Design before. Meanwhile, the 2 unclean animals, male and female, electric and magnetic, yin and yang, symbolize the dual nature of existence on the 3D plane. These represent the base instincts which should not be destroyed, but instead integrated and harmonized within the soul. Then we have Genesis 7:3, which states, "Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, so to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth." Now we saw earlier that fowls or birds symbolize the volatile spirit known in alchemy as Mercury, representing the soul's ability to ascend spiritually. The fact that, our spirit is not fixed, it can be enhanced and raised accordingly. Taking these birds by sevens again signifies transcendence and raising above earthly minded limitations. The phrase keeping seed alive, of course, symbolizes preserving our vital procreative essences throughout the alchemical transformation, or at least when we're in our sacred secretion practice time. And now Genesis 7:4 says, "For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from the face of the earth." So the 7 days prior to the rain's coming represents the mental preparation and the alignment of the body via the 7 chakras before full dissolution begins, before the rain comes. The 40 days and 40 nights symbolize purification, trial, and deep transformation. This number repeatedly appears in sacred texts such as Moses fasting 40 days, Jesus's 40 days fast in the wilderness, and the Israelites wandering for 40 years. The number 40 is also sometimes interchanged with 42 in ancient numerical systems, universally symbolizing a period of trial, followed by a profound victory or a profound transformation. The rain symbolizes universal waters, representing spiritual baptism and again the dissolution of ego that we've been talking about. The Hebrew letter mem has a gematria value of 40, and mem literally means water. Its pictograph is water as well. Scripture explicitly tells us that we must be reborn of water and spirit, referencing the sacred secretion process that we've discussed in many of our offerings, videos and books and such like. And so the flood is therefore symbolic of the soul's baptism, the purification process, washing away this carnal mind, this egoic attachment to the idea of what we think we are or who we think we are and our place in the world, transcending all of that to realize that we're so much more than any of those things. When impurities and toxicities of all kinds fill the body and soul, floodwaters symbolize degeneration and destruction. In other words, the biochemical state of the body either drives degeneration and death, or if one knows the secret science of the Ark, the great arcanum, it leads to purification, allowing the soul to exist in the new world, not just metaphorically, but very literally ascending, glitching onto a new trajectory of existence where things happen with much more ease, and you notice and feel a lot more beauty around you and other very profound gifts unveiling themselves towards you. Genesis 7:6 tells us clearly, and Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. In numerology, 600 reduces to 6, symbolizing imperfection, the earthly man, and the downward swimming fish, which illustrates that principle of degeneration and decay, leading us, along that line of stagnant life, not our best life, but the opposite of that. So the flood begins precisely at a critical moment when we need that spiritual transformation. You could even call it rock bottom. Genesis 7:11 says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So this verse marks the exact moment when the floodwaters erupted from both below and above. And the phrase, all the fountains of the great deep broke up, to me symbolizes the subconscious mind, the primordial waters of chaos, the raw material of the soul becoming stirred and awaken as we step into these new phases of the unfolding of the psyche. The windows of heaven were opened signifies that higher realms of consciousness pour spiritual energies into the world or into the body, which initiate those transformative floodwaters. In alchemy, this represents divine inspiration entering the retort, which is the ark, to purify the soul. The flood beginning specifically on the 17th day of the second month is highly significant. The second month references the second chakra, Swadhisthana, which in the element theory is directly associated with water and the procreative centers of the body. It symbolizes the animal seed or energy that must be consciously raised and united with divine energy. So you're getting that fusing action happening. Later in scripture, the ark comes to rest on the mountain on the 17th day of the 7th month. This detail illustrates Noah's spiritual journey, ascending above the waters of turmoil from the second chakra, the second month, to the 7th chakra, the 7th month. As life force energy rises, it forms a radiant crown of glory that will not fade away. That's how it's described in the book of Revelation. And it's also referred to symbolically as a rainbow of promise or a halo of enlightenment at that 7th crown chakra. The number 17 as well holds another profound meaning. 17 is the 7th prime number. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17. And is biblically associated with resurrection. The prime numbers reveal the program for life. Now I'll skip ahead slightly here as we've covered Noah's family and various animal pairs in part 1. Next, Genesis 7:16 tells us that Noah is completely sealed within the ark. And symbolically this represents entering a spiritual wilderness, fasting from all the worldly influences, and entering into a sacred, secret place of inner transformation. And the following verses describe the floodwaters continuing to rise, which of course shows how the life force transcends the lower world and rises up. When we're doing our sacred secretion practices, it's important as well to sequester ourselves away, to steal time away, to have space in mind for new thoughts and downloads. This is why we shouldn't be engaging in too much screen time or doing too much work, because literally everything creates alchemical changes in the body. Everything creates imprints, everything creates different programs and makes us think on different things and replay different things and changes our state and our consciousness, even if it's very slightly. So if we really want to feel the profound shifts, stepping away and having plenty of quiet time is really important to really feel more significant shifts within. Then in Genesis 7:19-20 we read, "And all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered." So in this passage, the high hills represent the ego and false spiritual knowledge. Their complete submersion under the floodwaters symbolizes the death of worldly illusions, the dissolution of our attachment to lower ego-driven perceptions, things that really don't exist and don't matter, resentments, all sorts of things, shame, guilt, you name it. The measurement of 15 cubits is also significant. A cubit is approximately 18 inches. It's an ancient sacred measurement frequently used symbolically throughout the Bible. 18 is 1 and 8. 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 again represents the upward swimming fish. 15 cubits represent exactly half the height of the ark, which Genesis 6:15 told us was 30 cubits tall. So this detail indicates that the waters have lifted the ark precisely to a midpoint between heaven and earth, a perfect state of equilibrium, or a perfect state for mergence. In alchemical terms, this midpoint is critically important because it symbolizes reaching a balance between our earthly existence and our divine consciousness. At this stage, the transformation of the soul reaches a pivotal moment. Carey refers to this midpoint as the place where the ark enters the spinal cord on its upward ascension. And the remaining verses of this chapter further emphasize how the impurities of the earth, or symbolically the impurities of the physical bodies, are drowned, eradicated and washed away by the floodwaters. Again, this strongly highlights the necessity of destroying the false ego to allow the purified self to fully emerge. Then we come to the final verse of chapter 7, which states, "And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days." This means that even after the initial 40 days of heavy rainfall, the flood waters continued to dominate the earth for a total of 150 days. Interestingly, if we add together the first 7 prime numbers up to 17 that we were talking about earlier, so 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 11 plus 13 and plus 17, we arrive at the number 150. So again, the number 150 echoes the profound significance of the divine cycle of completion through the 7 chakras, the 7 energy centers of the body, and through spiritual purification. Now, let's briefly summarize what we've already covered in these first 2 videos. Firstly, the ego, representing Earth's corruption, is dissolved through the floodwaters of purification. 2, the ark, which is the spiritual vessel. It preserves and protects the higher self, allowing it to rise above the destruction. It's the body on one level and it's the cell of life on another level. 3, the floodwater symbolizes pure unity consciousness, cleansing and purifying the soul of egoic impurities. And 4, the soul ascending, rising above the illusory world and its worldly attachments. This is how we change course and experience higher things. 5, finally, the new world emerges, symbolizing the birth of the new purified divine self and all of the manifestations around us that come with that. Many spiritual seekers speak of living in the new heaven and the new earth as described in the book of Revelation, yet they often overlook the critical truth that our inner reality literally creates our outer reality. So if we really wish to inhabit and experience the new world, we must first cleanse and purify our minds and hearts internally. This includes good thoughts, good words, good deeds, the spiritual practices that we've talked about so many times. If you genuinely desire to witness tangible timeline shifts, quantum leaps, and extraordinary reality glitches in your external life, you must begin by going within first. So I hope you've enjoyed this second part of the Noah series. If you did, please take a moment to give it a like and to share your thoughts or questions in the comment section below. In part 3, we'll continue exploring even deeper the alchemical secrets and hidden symbolism that are woven into this timeless Noah's Ark story. So I hope you'll join me for part 3. And as always, the links to my books, courses and other resources are in the description box below this video. May divine love manifest itself in you all, always and in all ways. Namaste.